Hi, this is Ninja2 Dan, and I'm going to be doing pretty much just a very short little video for people that are kind of having a little bit of difficulty with land navigation for Arma 3. This in particular is generally oriented towards people that are playing Breaking Point, but it kind of applies for anybody playing any of the Arma 3. Right now I am not using any mods. As you can see from looking through inventory, it's just a generic inventory screen. I do have binoculars, compass, and map. No GPS, and the watch isn't necessary. For the most part, there are going to be two different reasons why you need to use land navigation for precision. The first one is because you look at a map, you have no clue where you are, but you know where you want to go. When you view your map, you can turn on textures or you can remove them. Personally, for Land Nav, I prefer to leave them off because it looks more like a standard topo map. If you press the circle, it will go to the generic, like pretty much just a general area of where your character is, but it's not going to be very precise. The reason that you would be wanting to navigate is, say you have no clue really where you are in this area, but you need to get to the town here. If you just decide you're going to run in whatever direction, like we know we're somewhere here, so yeah, in theory we could pretty much just run in this general direction and hope we get it. Problem is, what if you're wrong and you end up going through 30 minutes of running in the wrong direction? Another thing is, what if you don't have a compass and you're having to use the sun for navigation, and just whatever reason. The more you know where you are located, the better chance you have of being able to run directly where you need to go. The other reason you're going to want to know your location is, for example, with the Breaking Point mod, if you're dropping crates, caches, or safes, or if you're just parking, hiding a vehicle somewhere, you obviously want to be able to come back to it. You're going to be hiding it somewhere, so again, because I do not have Breaking Point running, I'm not going to be able to place crates or anything. But if you look here, this is a good example of a spot that might, it's not too bad of an area. You'd be able to blend it in with the shadows and possibly with some of this grassy stuff. So if we wanted to place a crate here and return to it, we would want to be able to figure out where we are. And for doing that, the best way is to make sure you have enough line of sight and visibility that you can actually see multiple markers, different features. The first thing that you're going to want to do is, from wherever your object is, use your compass, or if you don't have a compass, if you're using the sun, even if you cannot see the sun, there's a good chance you can still see your shadows. As long as you know roughly what time of day it is, your shadow will be pretty useful. If you have a compass, though, you can use one of your cardinal directions, which means north, south, east, west. In this case, if we look south, that's going to be up a hill a little bit more. From your spot, just move enough that you can gain a better line of sight to the surrounding areas. So for example here, once we get to cresting this little hill here, we can start to see different features. We can see that there are multiple buildings in the area, including what looks like a pretty decent little town with a military facility. Out there is also a hill with some type of a tower on the top. So there's another hilltop with a possible building on top of it. So if we want to know where we're at, best way to do that, open your map. Again, center on where you're at so you have a general idea. Zoom in just enough to where you can see certain features. If you have a pair of binoculars, you can use those. But generally, if the item is too far out, it's going to make it a lot more difficult actually for you to be able to do precision pinpointing. This, for example, looks like it's one of the smaller church buildings on top of a hill, which right away we can pretty much see that's a very identifiable structure. There's one here, 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 here. Again, if we are in this area, whatever it is going to be to our south, not to our east. This one obviously is directly atop some type of a hill. So if we want to confirm that, we can then point to, say, this military building here. Which is probably going to be in one of these fenced-in compounds of this town. Notice there is a gas station there. Do we see a gas station sign? Yep, right there. We can just barely see the top of the fuel pumping canopy, so we can tell that's a gas station. So right there, boom, we know exactly what we're looking at. Now we just have to figure out where we are. Because we knew right now we are pointing at the gas station, we can pretty much just draw a line back and then to the church. So if we look at where we are in relation to the church, we're going to be off in this line here and back to the gas station. So get along this line. So that's going to place us roughly in this area right here. So we know personally right now we are standing up on this small hill here. Again, if we wanted to go back to where our crate was, we knew it was to the north. Using the mouse look is a good way of being able to move in a certain direction while keeping an eye on your surroundings without accidentally shifting off of your focus. So again, if we were placing it in this area, at any of these spots, that's the easy way to find it. So again, we were on this hill here, we went north. We can see we're sort of in a little bit of a valley area here. And if we look through the trees here, we can see that there is a building. So again, using your compass, if we are looking at any of these, so we know we are generally going to be in this area here. Just to test that out, I'm going to go back into my difficulty settings, go back down to recruit, which is the simplest, and boom, we can verify right there that we are in fact where we thought we were. So as you can see, using those different features will allow you to very quickly identify where you're at using map and compass and finding terrain features. Similarly, if you wanted to get to a certain location, because we knew where we were at, even without our icon being on the map, which generally, like in Breaking Point, you will only see that if you have a GPS equipped. Say for example we wanted to get to this other town here, which is a little bit further away. We know that we pretty much just need to run straight east. If we start moving that way, we'll see at the top of that mountain is again one of those large towers which if we're looking that way, this here could possibly be those radio towers. And then you would just continue moving until you got to your location. If for some reason you went off route, say you're running along and oh wait, look, there's a helo crash or supply crates, or if you're getting shot at, whatever. If you are moving and you notice a group of hostile players are looting something, driving somewhere, setting up a vehicle, whatever, and you need to avoid them, you have to go, instead of in a direct path, you end up having to skirt through, and before you're safe again, you find yourself way out in some other area. You know you're off course, but you just don't know where. It's really simple. Just repeat the process. Get to a high point and pinpoint a few different land features. Figure out where you're at. Figure out what direction you need to head. And that's basically it. Once you've got a little bit of practice, you can pretty much navigate yourself anywhere, and as long as you have that map. Again, if you do not have a compass, trying to use the shadows on the ground, this currently is not going to work too well because the editor default was at around noon, so there's not that well shadow cast. For example, Breaking Point, though, a lot of the servers currently, as of today, are running morning time, so obviously sun rises in the east, sets in the west. If you're facing the sun, it will cast a shadow behind you. In other words, wherever your shadow points, that will be to the west. You can then use that to navigate wherever you need to go. So that's it.